Level 1. Plays themselves, famous first, acting second. Level 1 is the bottom of the ladder for one simple reason: you never forget the celebrity and you never see the character. These actors aren't unknown. They're not struggling. They're massively successful. But when they appear on screen, they don't transform. They repeat. Start with Kevin Hart. Hart has built one of the most profitable careers in modern Hollywood. His energy is undeniable. His timing is sharp, but the performance rarely changes. Whether he's playing a dad, a spy, a criminal, or a sidekick, you're watching Kevin Hart react to situations as Kevin Hart. Same voice, same cadence, same panic jokes. It works for comedy, but it isn't acting in the traditional sense. The character bends around his persona, not the other way around. Then there's Dwayne Johnson. The Rock might be the most recognizable star on the planet. Studios trust him, audiences show up, but his roles are built on brand consistency. Strong, confident, charismatic, always in control. Emotional vulnerability is brief, surface level, and quickly replaced by jokes or action. Johnson isn't asked to disappear into roles. He's hired to be The Rock in different outfits. That's not failure, but it is limitation. And finally, Awkwafina. Awkwafina has real talent and strong screen presence, but her biggest hurdle is identity separation. Her voice, rhythm, and comedic timing are instantly recognizable, sometimes to a fault. In many roles, audiences hear Awkwafina before they hear the character. To her credit, performances like The Farewell showed she can step outside that comfort zone. But the bulk of her work still leans heavily on persona-driven acting. That's what defines Level 1. These actors don't disappear. They don't transform. They brand. Hollywood rewards familiarity, and Level 1 actors deliver it flawlessly. But great acting begins when the audience forgets who you are and believes who you're pretending to be. Level 2. One-gear movie stars. They're effective but stuck in one lane. Level 2 actors are a step above playing themselves, but not by much. These performers can act, but only in a very specific way. They've found one gear that works, and they never shift out of it. Hollywood loves them because they're reliable. Audiences know exactly what they're getting, and that predictability is both their strength and their ceiling. Let's start with Jason Statham. Statham is cool, controlled, and effortlessly physical. His action scenes are clean. His presence is confident, but emotionally the dial barely moves. He plays variations of the same hyper-competent loner, tough, quiet, and slightly amused by danger. It works beautifully for action films, but outside that lane, there's very little range. You don't watch Statham to be surprised, you watch him to deliver the exact energy you came for. Then there's Vin Diesel. Diesel built his career on intensity and stoicism. As Dominic Toretto, he became the face of a global franchise. Deep voice, slow delivery, constant seriousness. The problem is that the tone never changes. Emotional scenes feel heavy instead of layered. Humor is rare. Vulnerability is brief. Diesel's performances rely on presence more than emotional depth, and when that presence isn't supported by action or spectacle, the acting starts to feel thin. And finally, Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds is charismatic, fast, and incredibly likable. His comedic rhythm is elite, but like many Level 2 actors, he's trapped by success. Sarcasm, self-awareness, emotional deflection. It's the same toolbox every time. Even in dramatic moments, the performance often snaps back to humor. Reynolds doesn't disappear into characters. He overlays them with his personality. It's entertaining. It's profitable, but it's limited. That's Level 2 in a nutshell. These actors aren't bad. They're specialists. They dominate one style so completely that Hollywood keeps them there. But great acting requires risk, and Level 2 careers are built on avoiding it. Level 3. Inconsistent but iconic. Not technically great, yet somehow unforgettable. Level 3 is where logic starts to break. These actors aren't masters of the craft. They're not chameleons. They've been criticized plenty of times, and yet audiences love them. Why? Because acting isn't just about range. It's about connection. Let's start with Keanu Reeves. Reeves has been called stiff, wooden, even flat. His accent in Dracula is still infamous. Emotional delivery isn't his strength. But here's the twist. His sincerity is. Reeves feels honest, grounded, unpretentious. In The Matrix and John Wick, his calm, restrained style becomes an advantage. He doesn't overpower scenes, he anchors them. When roles align with his natural demeanor, he's perfect. When they don't, the cracks show fast. That inconsistency keeps him here. Then there's Nicolas Cage. Cage is chaos in human form. At his best, he's extraordinary, raw, vulnerable, fearless. At his worst, he's completely unhinged. The same actor who gave Leaving Las Vegas also gave The Wicker Man. Cage treats acting like experimentation, not precision. Sometimes the experiment works, sometimes it explodes. That unpredictability makes him impossible to rank higher, but impossible to ignore. And bringing up the rear, we have Kristen Stewart. For years, Stewart was criticized for flat effect and limited expression. The Twilight era cemented that reputation. But over time, something shifted. In smaller, more demanding roles, she showed restraint, tension, and emotional control. The problem is consistency. Stewart can be excellent or disengaged, depending on the project. When she's locked in, she surprises people. When she's not, the old criticisms return. That's the defining trait of level 3. These actors don't always deliver, but when they do, it sticks. They prove that perfection isn't required to be iconic, only presence. Still, inconsistency keeps them from climbing higher. Level 4, reliable movie stars. Not chameleons, but almost never bad. Level 4 actors are the backbone of Hollywood. They don't shock you. They don't embarrass themselves. They don't usually disappear into roles either. But when they're in a movie, you relax because you know the performance will at least be solid. These are actors studios trust and audiences believe. Let's start with Brad Pitt. Pitt has spent decades refining control. Early in his career, he was dismissed as just a pretty face. Over time, he learned restraint. He stopped trying to dominate scenes and started letting them breathe. Performances like Seven, Moneyball, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood show a confidence that doesn't need to prove anything. That said, you're still aware you're watching Brad Pitt. His charisma never fully disappears, and that's why he's here. Excellent, dependable, but not invisible. Next is Scarlett Johansson. Johansson is one of the most consistent performers of her generation. She can handle action, drama, and subtle emotional work without falling apart. Even in weak scripts, she brings credibility. Roles like Lost in Translation and Marriage Story prove she has depth, while blockbuster films show her control under pressure. She may not transform radically from film to film, but she adapts enough to keep performances grounded and believable. And then there's Matt Damon. Damon's strength is realism. He feels like a person you could actually meet. Whether he's playing a genius, a spy, or an everyman under stress, his performances feel natural and unforced. He doesn't chase flash, he focuses on clarity. That reliability has kept him relevant for decades. Damon might not deliver extreme transformations, but he rarely misses. That's level 4. These actors don't rely on gimmicks. They don't need chaos. They don't disappear, but they don't distract either. They show up, deliver, and leave the movie better than they found it. Level 5, elite performers. They don't just act, they transform. Level 5 is where the gap becomes obvious. These actors don't rely on charm. They don't repeat a persona. They don't coast on familiarity. They disappear. When they're on screen, the character takes over. Voice, body, rhythm, psychology. You stop thinking about the actor entirely. Let's start with Leonardo DiCaprio. DiCaprio is the blueprint for evolution. He started as a teen idol, but instead of protecting his image, he chased difficulty. Mentally unstable conmen, corrupt cops, obsessive dream thieves, feral frontiersmen, none of them feel the same. His performances are physical, emotional, and fully committed. DiCaprio doesn't flirt with intensity. He dives headfirst into it. That commitment is why he can carry massive films without losing credibility. Next is Natalie Portman. Portman is precision. Every movement feels intentional. Every emotional beat is controlled. She can be restrained and explosive in the same role. Black Swan alone proves her range, vulnerability, obsession, fear, ambition, all layered together without slipping into exaggeration. She doesn't rely on volume or theatrics. She lets tension do the work. And then there's Christian Bale. Bale is commitment taken to extremes. He reshapes his body, alters his voice, and rewires his posture for roles. But what separates him from gimmick transformations is discipline. The physical change supports the psychology, it never replaces it. Whether he's playing a billionaire, a sociopath, or a boxer, Bale feels unsettlingly real. You don't admire the performance, you believe it. That's level 5. These actors don't chase likability, they chase truth. They take risks, they fail loudly, they succeed memorably, and when they're in a film, expectations instantly rise. Level 6. Masters of the craft. They don't need transformation, their presence does the work. Level 6 actors don't chase attention, they command it. They understand timing, restraint, rhythm, and silence. One look can say more than a page of dialogue. When they're on screen, the movie slows down, not because it's boring, but because it knows it has to listen. These performers aren't trying to prove anything. They already have. Let's start with Denzel Washington. Denzel's power comes from control. His voice, posture, and pacing are surgical. He can be charismatic, terrifying, or deeply human without raising the volume. In Training Day, he radiates danger through confidence alone. In Malcolm X, he carries history, anger, and dignity in equal measure. Washington doesn't disappear into characters, he elevates them. Every role feels grounded, deliberate, and authoritative. Following up is Meryl Streep. Streep is versatility refined to its highest form. Accents, ages, cultures, personalities, she handles all of them without strain. What makes her exceptional isn't just range but credibility. Even when playing someone radically different from herself, she feels authentic. There's no showing off, just precision. Watching Streep feels effortless, which is exactly why it's so difficult to replicate. And then there's Anthony Hopkins. Hopkins is minimalism perfected. He doesn't rush. He doesn't overplay. He lets stillness do the heavy lifting. His performance as Hannibal Lecter is legendary, not because of screen time, but because of presence. Every pause feels intentional. Every word feels weighted. Hopkins proves that mastery isn't about doing more, it's about knowing exactly how little you need. That's level 6. These actors don't need chaos. They don't need gimmicks. They don't need approval. They understand the craft so deeply that the camera comes to them. Level 7. The GOAT tier. Actors who redefine what acting even is. Level 7 isn't about popularity. It's not about box office. It's not even about awards. This tier is reserved for actors who change the standard performers, so committed, so precise, so transformative that the industry itself bends around them. They don't play characters. They become history. Let's start with Daniel Day-Lewis. Day-Lewis isn't just acting, he's living alternate lives. He doesn't prepare for roles, he disappears into them. For My Left Foot, he lived in a wheelchair throughout production. For There Will Be Blood, he built a character so fully formed that every movement felt predatory and alive. His performances aren't flashy, they're unsettling. He doesn't act often, but when he does, the result is definitive. 3 Oscars, 0 weak performances, no compromises. Then there's Robert De Niro. De Niro laid the groundwork for modern realism. He didn't just portray characters, he studied them, lived among them, absorbed their worlds. Taxi driver, boxer, mob boss, broken father. His transformations weren't tricks, they were consequences of obsession. Generations of actors followed his blueprint. Without De Niro, this entire tier looks different. And finally, Al Pacino. Pacino brought fire. Where De Niro was internal, Pacino was explosive. His performances crackle with danger, vulnerability, and unpredictability. From the quiet menace of Michael Corleone to the volcanic energy of Dog Day Afternoon, Pacino turned emotion into electricity. He didn't just deliver lines, he detonated them. His influence is everywhere, whether actors realize it or not. That's level 7. These actors don't chase roles. Roles chase them. They aren't measured against their peers. They become the measurement. And once you reach this level, there's nowhere higher to go. Only legacy. From actors who play themselves to performers who redefine the craft, these 7 levels show one thing clearly. Acting isn't about fame, it's about transformation. Now it's your turn. Which actor do you think was ranked too high or too low? And who deserves a spot in GOAT tier that didn't make the list? Drop your picks in the comments, hit like if this breakdown surprised you, and subscribe for more insights into film, fame, and performance.